In the heart of the vast Shinadu kingdom, where the ancient trees stood tall and the winds carried the whispers of old spirits, there lived two sisters, Abina and Izai. The elder, Abina, was like the first light of dawn, calm and wise, while Izai, the younger, was like the fierce afternoon sun, full of energy and courage. They were as inseparable as the twin rivers that flowed through their land, always moving together, always reflecting each other's light. Their parents had been the greatest warriors in the kingdom, but they had fallen in battle defending their people from invaders. Left alone, Abina and Izai found solace only in each other. Despite their loss, they lived in harmony, gathering herbs and weaving intricate beads that were known throughout the villages for their beauty and craftsmanship. Though they had little, their hearts were full, and their bond was as unbreakable as iron. One stormy night, as lightning streaked across the sky and thunder rumbled through the village, an old woman appeared at their doorstep. She was bent with age, her hair as white as the moon, and her eyes glinted with a sharp, otherworldly light. She spoke in a voice that was both ancient and commanding, her words cutting through the roar of the storm. "Abina and Izai," she began, "you're bound by a love stronger than steel. But heed my words. A prophecy has been written in the stars. One of you is destined to bring great fortune to this land, but only if you both remain true to each other. Dark forces will rise against you, and the shadows of deceit will try to tear you apart. Lies will coil around you like a snake in the grass, and mistrust will be your greatest enemy. But if you stand together, your reward will be beyond imagination." The old woman's words hung in the air like a curse and a blessing all at once. With a final glance, she vanished into the storm, leaving the sisters standing in the doorway, their hearts heavy with the weight of her prophecy. The winds howled around them as if warning of the trials to come. As the days passed, the prophecy began to take root in the village, spreading like wildfire. Word of the sisters' fate reached the ears of the village chief, a man whose heart was blackened with greed and envy. He feared the power that the sisters might wield, for he knew that if the prophecy came true, his own influence would wane. The chief decided to act swiftly. He approached Izai one morning while she was alone, his voice smooth as honey but laced with venom. "Izai," he whispered, "you're the brighter star among the two. But beware, your sister, Abina, is not as she seems. She is plotting to take the fortune for herself, to leave you with nothing. You cannot trust her." Izai, though brave, felt a pang of doubt. The chief's words slithered into her mind, planting seeds of mistrust. That evening, when Abina returned from the forest with a basket of herbs, she found Izai distant, her usual warmth replaced by a cold suspicion. "What troubles you, my sister?" Abina asked, her voice gentle. Izai hesitated, but then the words spilled out like a flood. "The chief, he says you plan to betray me, to claim the fortune for yourself." Abina's heart ached with the weight of the accusation, her eyes filling with tears. "How could you believe such lies? We have always been together, and together we will face whatever comes. Don't let his poison twist your thoughts." Realizing her mistake, Izai rushed to embrace Abina, the warmth of their bond banishing the cold doubts. "Forgive me, sister," she whispered. "I will never doubt you again." But this was only the beginning. The chief, enraged by his failure, vowed to destroy them both. He spread more lies, telling the villagers that Abina practiced dark magic and that she had cursed their crops and brought sickness to their children. Fearful and superstitious, the villagers began to shun the sisters, their warm smiles replaced with cold glares. Yet, even as the world turned against them, Abina and Izai clung to each other. They would not let lies tear them apart, for they knew their strength lay in their unity. As the sisters struggled against the growing hostility, another threat emerged, this time from a wealthy merchant named Quaim, who was envious of their craftsmanship and the attention it brought them. Quaim, a man driven by greed, sought to ruin their reputation and claim their fortune for himself. He began by spreading rumors that Abina and Izai's beads were cursed and that those who wore them would suffer great misfortune. Soon, no one in the village dared buy their wares. The sisters' business faltered, and they were forced to survive on what little they could gather from the forest. But Quaim was not satisfied with their suffering. He knew that if he could drive a wedge between the sisters, they would be easy prey. So, he approached Abina one day with an offer. "Your beads are truly beautiful," he said, his voice slick with false praise. "Sell them to me at a low price, and I will make sure they reach distant lands where no one knows of the supposed curse. You will be rich, and Izai need never know." Abina, though desperate, saw through Quaim's deceit. "I would rather starve than betray my sister," she replied, her voice firm with resolve. But Quaim was relentless. He continued to press her, hoping to find a crack in her resolve, but Abina held fast. That night, Abina told Izai of Quaim's offer, and they both knew they had to be more vigilant than ever. The forces against them were growing stronger, but so was their determination. Just when it seemed that the sisters had weathered the worst of the storm, a new danger arrived in the form of a handsome traveler named Kojo. With his charming smile and silver tongue, Kojo quickly became the talk of the village. He was everything a woman could desire: handsome, mysterious, and seemingly kind. He befriended Abina and Izai, offering to help them rebuild their business. But Kojo was a wolf in sheep's clothing. Unbeknownst to the sisters, he had been sent by the chief on his mission to break their bond once and for all. Kojo played his part well, lavishing Abina with attention and whispering words of admiration that made her heart flutter. Izai, noticing the growing closeness between Kojo and Abina, began to feel a pang of jealousy and doubt. Was Abina forgetting their bond in favor of this stranger? Kojo saw the doubt in Izai's eyes and seized upon it. He began to subtly play the sisters against each other, praising Abina's beauty and skill while neglecting Izai. The tension between the sisters grew, the old wounds of mistrust beginning to reopen. One fateful night, as the full moon bathed the village in silver light, Izai could bear it no longer. She decided to confront Abina, fearing that her sister had fallen under Kojo's spell. But as she approached her home, she overheard voices coming from the shadows. It was Kojo speaking to the chief. "Do not worry, my lord," Kojo was saying. "The sisters are nearly at each other's throats. Soon, they will be so divided that they will be powerless to stop us." Izai's blood ran cold as she realized the full extent of Kojo's treachery. Her heart pounded with both fury and fear as she burst into the clearing, confronting Kojo in front of Abina. "How dare you try to turn us against each other?" Izai shouted, her voice trembling with emotion. Abina, who had begun to fall for Kojo's charms, was shocked into silence. But as the truth dawned on her, the scales fell from her eyes, and she saw Kojo for what he truly was. "You deceiver!" Abina cried, her voice filled with both sorrow and rage. "You tried to destroy the only thing that matters, our bond." Kojo, realizing his plan had been foiled, fled into the night, leaving the sisters standing together, stronger than ever. They had been tested to their limits, but they had not broken. The sisters' resilience had not gone unnoticed. Mowu, the great mother of creation, who watched over the land and all its inhabitants, was moved by their unshakable loyalty and love for one another. She decided it was time to reward their perseverance. One morning, as the first light of dawn touched the treetops, a magnificent bird appeared in the sisters' clearing. It was unlike any bird they had ever seen. Its feathers shimmered with every color of the rainbow, and its eyes held the wisdom of the ages. The bird circled above them, then landed gracefully at their feet, transforming into Mowu herself, a figure of radiant beauty and power. "You have faced lies, deceit, and trials meant to tear you apart," Mowu spoke, her voice both gentle and powerful, resonating with the very earth beneath their feet. "Yet you have remained true to each other. This bond you share is a rare and precious thing, more valuable than all the riches of the earth. Because of your unwavering love and loyalty, I shall grant you a reward that surpasses your wildest dreams." Mowu extended her hand, and the ground beneath them began to tremble. The earth parted, revealing a hidden path that led deep into the heart of the forest. The sisters followed Mowu, their hearts pounding with anticipation and awe. The path was lined with vibrant flowers that bloomed in hues they had never seen before. their petals glowing softly in the dawn light. The air was filled with the scent of sweet nectar, and the sounds of the forest seemed to sing in harmony with each step they took. Finally, they arrived at a secluded grove, a place of such beauty that it seemed untouched by time. In the center of the grove was a pool of water so clear that it reflected the sky like a mirror. Surrounding the pool were trees laden with fruits of gold and silver, and beneath their feet, the ground sparkled with gems, diamonds, rubies, sapphires, and emeralds. The light from the gems danced across the grove, casting a magical glow. "This," Moe said, gesturing to the breathtaking scene before them, "is your inheritance. The wealth of this land is now yours, to use not only for yourselves but for the good of your people. But know this, the true treasure you possess is not the gold, the jewels, or the riches of this world. It is the strength of your bond which has endured all trials and emerged unbroken. That is the greatest gift of all." Abina and Izai fell to their knees in gratitude, tears of joy streaming down their faces. They understood now that everything they had endured, the lies, the betrayals, the trials, had only strengthened their love for each other. They had been tested in ways they could never have imagined, but their bond had proven to be indestructible. With their newfound wealth, Abina and Izai returned to the village, but they were no longer the humble beadmakers the villagers had once known. They came back as symbols of hope, unity, and resilience. The villagers who had once shunned and feared them now looked upon the sisters with awe and respect, realizing the depth of their error. The sisters did not seek revenge for the wrongs done to them. Instead, they used their wealth to rebuild the village, restoring it to greater glory than it had ever known. They built a school where all the children, regardless of status, could learn and grow. They created a marketplace where artisans and traders from far and wide could come together, sharing their crafts and cultures. They even set up a sanctuary for the elderly and the sick, ensuring that no one in their village would ever be alone or forgotten. The chief, whose lies had nearly destroyed them, was stripped of his power by the people, who saw now that true leadership came not from deceit but from wisdom and compassion. The sisters were offered the role of leaders, but they declined, choosing instead to serve their people as equals, not rulers. Years passed, and the sisters grew old together, their hair turning silver like the moon that had once witnessed their trials. They lived in peace and prosperity, watching the village they had rebuilt flourish and grow. The twin rivers continued to flow beside their home, reflecting the sunsets that painted the sky in shades of gold and crimson. One evening, as they sat by the riverside, their hands clasped together, Abina turned to Izai and smiled. "We have come so far, sister. Through all the darkness, we never let go of each other. And look at what we have achieved." Izai nodded, her heart full. "Our bond was our greatest strength. It was what kept us going when the world tried to tear us apart. I would endure it all again, just to know that we would end up here, together." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting its last rays of light across the land, the sisters knew that their story would live on long after they were gone. It would be told and retold by the fireside, a tale of two sisters who faced the darkest of trials but never gave up on each other. A story that would remind generations to come of the power of love, trust, and loyalty. And so, the legend of Abina and Izai became part of the very fabric of the land, woven into the hearts of all who heard it. Their names were spoken with reverence, their story a beacon of hope and strength. In the end, they had not only found great fortune but had also given their people something far more valuable, a legacy of unbreakable sisterhood that would inspire the world for generations to come. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.